The Rudd persona has been something of a puzzle from the time he became Labor leader.
He's there, but he's so hard to read. It's so hard to tell what the real Kevin Rudd is.
Now, why is that?
Well, I think the answer is because he very carefully disguises that real person. And the real person is a very angry person.
The truth is that Prime Minister Rudd is deeply flawed. He has great weaknesses which, to date, have not necessarily been seen in public.
Just fucking hopeless.
Prime Minister Kevin Rudd is a foul-mouthed leader with a vicious temper.
He's got the public persona, which is the goody two-shoes image, but the private Rudd is a much more volatile character.
This fucking language.
The Prime Minister has had another expletive-laden brain explosion.
Then there's a story
Having said that,
back in Australia
I've really got to
about
go.
you dropping the F-bomb.
He'd reduced a young female attendant to tears on one flight.
The Prime Minister complained sharply about the food provided.
Fairly graphic terms about what Kevin Rudd has apparently said to some journalists and others when he walked out of the Copenhagen summit.
Kevin Rudd said he didn't care what his colleagues thought.
Kevin, as leader, became someone who, for his colleagues, just became increasingly impossible to work with.
People came to the conclusion they could not work difficult issues through with the former Prime Minister.
What do you understand of the Cabinet process and how he's regarded by his Cabinet colleagues?
Well, as I understand it, Cabinet doesn't really work any longer.
People who actually have worked with Kevin in the past, who know him far better than the people who, watch television programs and see the stage-managed Kevin, can't work with him.
Part of it's indecision, but part of it was that obsession with minutiae.
I fucked up the last word.
Victorian backbencher Steve Gibbons used Twitter to accuse Mr Rudd of being a psychopath with a giant ego.
Selfie.
Yeah, selfie.
I sing like a cow.
It was certainly very clear to all of us that he was massively deficient, the government was not working, he was incapable of making decisions.
There seemed to be this chaos around him all the time. I think if anybody ever spoke out against him or questioned a decision he'd made or a thought that he had, you were soon put in deep freeze.
Tell them to cancel this meeting at 6 o'clock. We don't have the fucking patience to do it.
It is very hard for a man of his personality to, in a sense, let go, to share work, to trust people around him.
He's clearly been disloyal internally.
It started in the 2010 election campaign. Julia Gillard went into that campaign with a lead of 55-45 in the two-party preferred vote. And then there were leaks. Some accused Kevin Rudd directly of that. Those leaks undermined her efforts. Kevin Rudd came back into the conversation. That big lead evaporated overnight and she was forced into a minority government.
One of the most corrosive things that I've witnessed in public life is when people are seeking to advance a different proposition that the caucus might consider about leadership.
I have been in a political contest with the leader of the opposition, but I've also been in a political contest with people from my own political party.
Literally within days of losing the job, he'd already begun his campaign.
The Prime Minister found herself embroiled in yet another damaging spat over Kevin Rudd.
Julia Gillard has come out swinging after another damaging leak about private conversations she had as Deputy Prime Minister.
Another damaging leak to veteran journalist Laurie Oakes.
Election leaks that almost destroyed the Gillard campaign.
Vicious wounds inflicted on the party by Mr Rudd himself.
It's personal, implacable, and pursued relentlessly.
It's the coward's way to get on the blow with Laurie Oakes and say, I'll tell you this, but you're not allowed to identify me. It's the snake's way.
Two important qualities that you need to bring into the parliament when you're a member of a political party are discipline and loyalty.
An event last year at the Stag Hotel in Adelaide where Kevin called Julia Gillard a childless, atheist, ex-communist. He was on a rampage, calling her everything
Some
under
are
the
saying
sun.
they're prepared to sign statutory declarations to
That's
that effect.
right, a lawyer there is prepared to sign a stat dec.
The campaign of destabilisation that has been going on for a long period of time, which has basically threatened the future of the government.
The leaking is lethal because it's letting Tony Abbott get by pretty much unscrutinised.
The 2010 election was sabotage.
Kevin has been running a relentless campaign to undermine the government.
There's no doubt that he sought to tear down the 2010 campaign.
He never sleeps.
He's always manipulating something.
Whenever she looked like she was recovering in the polls, suddenly Rudd became the topic of conversation again. Disunity is death in politics, and for whatever reason, Rudd supporters ensured that that was constantly the case.
Well, Australia has a new Prime Minister designate tonight. Kevin Rudd is back in the top job.
Interestingly, Kevin Rudd has promised a kinder, gentler brand of politics after executing one of the most brutal and drawn-out revenge attacks this place has ever seen.
Now leaving politics altogether, Gillard, Smith, Emerson, Garrett, and now since yesterday, Combay, joining those already announced, Ferguson, Roxon, Evans and McClellan.
In the case of almost every one of these people who's gone, there's a factor there that things are just too awful.
It was just Julie Gillard had been almost airbrushed out of history, 48 hours after the vote.
Imagine Kevin Rudd trying to negotiate some of that stuff through with his sort of incapacity to connect with other people, and
I agree.
He could never have done what she did.
And of course,
he doesn't have the courage and the strength that's required to do this job.